So right now I'm going to go ahead and begin our recording, and we will walk through each of these specific sections of grant award requirements on the ACJC Grants portal. Dorinda will be fielding the questions, and we do have her on the line. So I thought maybe we'd go around and just quickly introduce ourselves from ACJC and provide to you the list of the coordinators that are available on the meeting. Again, my name is Matt Bileski. I'm part of the IT department here that is working on the ACJC Grants portal. So if you have any technical issues, you can always reach out to me. With that, I'll hand it over to Dorinda and the other coordinators.
Hi, I'm Dorinda Johns. I'm the coordinator for the Victim Compensation and Victim Assistance Grants. If you put your questions in the chat, we will read those periodically to answer them out loud, or we may answer in the chat as well. Both of those will be recorded for you to access later. Let's put it on. I know Candace is on. Candace, why don't you introduce yourself next?
Hey, good morning. My name is Candace Millsap. I'm the grant coordinator for the Systems Improvement Department here at ACJC. So the grants that fall under my department are Coverdale, NICS. I did invite our ADRS project recipients as well. Like Dorinda said, we're here to facilitate or address any questions that you guys have. Some of those may be addressed in the chat, or we may do a sidebar in email if it's lengthy. So let's see, I think Ashley is here. I saw her.
Yes, I'm here. My name is Ashley Mully, and I'm a shared position between the Drug, Gang, and Violent Crime Unit as well as the Criminal Improvement Unit. So I do mostly RSAT, NCHIP, PREA, SORNA, and a few little other ones. So if you have any questions, I'm here to help.
Do we have any other of the coordinators on the line?
Sienne's here.
It's you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Sienne Burke. I am the grant coordinator for the drug program. I'm working on the drug grant and the CGI grant. So if you have any questions, you let me know.
Ken, I think we also might have a representative from finance, because I know we have a sub-awardee questionnaire that's dedicated to finance questions. If they're on the line, they will be able to provide some finance feedback to any of those questions that may come in. So in the meantime, I thought I'd just walk us into those specific items that we're going to cover. We're going to look at assigning points of contact. We'll walk through that tutorial. We will have a question and answer right after that tutorial for any of those questions that may come in. The sub-awardee questionnaire will be our next tutorial. And then finally, we'll walk through the personnel and program income. This is if applicable to your grant. So it may not be required of everyone to go in and submit anything on the personnel/program income side. But if that is required, we will be walking through that today. I apologize, I have a little bit of a kind of covered over that main navigation bar at the top is our tutorials manuals link. That's at the very top banner up there. Just in case anyone's not familiar with that banner at the top, you can go to these specific spots throughout the entire application. You can get to your ACJC Grants main page, the landing page with ACJC Grants. You can go to the manuals and tutorials section, which houses a lot of the videos and a lot of the user manuals, the old paper type user manuals that may be useful for many of you. That's in the manuals section. Contact, you can contact staff by going to this location. If you click on the hello, your name here, that will take you to your user account page where you can change your password. You can also change certain information on your account as well. Main page, which is probably going to be the one you might click on the most, that takes you back to your main navigation page as a user. So for many of you being grantees, that will take you to the page that you need to get to start whatever functions it is that you're intending to carry out. And then finally, that log off. Obviously, we encourage any of you, if you're leaving your workstation or leaving your device for any period of time, best to log out of there. If you're going to be out for longer than 10, 20 minutes, just want to keep people from getting into your account. So that's the banner right there, and then obviously the items that we're going to cover. So right now what I'm going to do, give me 1 second here. I'm going to go ahead and stop presenting on that, and I will start to present on the tutorials. Okay, so everyone should see the manuals page here right now. We've added a few of the user manuals to capture everything that we're going to be talking about here today. Sub-Awardee Questionnaire, you can see that's the third one. We have the grant contacts, assigning those contacts, a user manual here, and then also managing project personnel. All those available at your fingertips by just clicking on that manual link up above. The video tutorials, which are what we'll be walking through here today, are available down below. Now, we have so many tutorials now, we're breaking them up into sections. Award requirements is going to be the section that we're going to concentrate on here today. We do have a DocuSign video here, so if you're still working through your grant agreement, hopefully everybody has that signed by now. If not, there is a video to walk you through that process. We'll go into assigning contacts. Please note there's an additional one here for uploading required documents. It's just a quick and dirty video to walk through that process of going into your grant record, going down to the document upload section and uploading any requirements that you may have that aren't necessarily baked into this application. So you can walk through that video at your leisure as well. I'm not going to go through that today. It's a really quick 3 minutes, just walks you through that process. So we're going to go ahead and start with assigning contacts. And what I will do here is we will expand this out. And I'm going to, I need to mute myself in the process, and we'll play that video.
Hello, my name is Matt Boleski. I'm with the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission. I'm here to walk you through assigning contacts at time of award. If you're receiving funding from ACJC, it will initiate a grant record, and at that point you'll want to go in as the primary contact, whoever has initially been assigned as the agency's primary contact, to go in and assign your contact roles. In order to do so, I'm going to go to the main page and click on View Records. At this time, you can query for your specific grant record. So I would select out the program, the agency, and then finally your grant number. Please refer to your grant agreement for that specific grant number, and then click Select. At that time, you will see the grant record information pop up on the screen. And about 3/4 the way down, you'll see this grant contacts section. At this time, you have two options. Either manage your contacts list, which populates the drop-down of selections for your contacts, or you can also click to go ahead and just assign your contacts as needed for all 5 of the roles. If you're just starting out in the system, you'll want to manage that contacts list first. Otherwise, you will have no one in the drop-downs to pick from. So at this point, you're able to search based on email. I'm going to go ahead and type in my email here. Click search, and you can see that it finds me in these search results. I can elect to add myself, but first I will show you if I don't type that in correctly and click search, no one will pop up. So be sure to click and type in all of that email, start to finish, as exact as you possibly can. Now, if there is an individual that has not registered yet in the ACJC Grants portal, you will not find them in the system. So again, if that individual is not registered, you will need to instruct them to first go in and register in the ACJC Grants portal, and then you can search for their email in the system. So again, if I type my email in correctly, it will find me in the system, and I will go ahead and click Add. And you will see I've been added to the agency active contacts. I am now populated in the drop-down for setting up those contacts on this grant record. I can elect to deactivate individuals from the list. So if they do leave your agency, they can be removed from that drop-down so you don't accidentally select them. And then you can always reactivate those individuals as well. This list, the agency active contacts, can be populated with as many individuals as you require. At this time, now that I have myself in there as an active contact, I'm going to go back to the grant record, and it will take me to that grant contacts section. As you can see down below, I don't have any program or financial contacts specified in the system at this time. I have up to 2 spots for program contacts, a program contact, as well as an alternate. I have a financial contact and a financial alternate. Both sets of contacts, so both program contacts, can serve the same role with same access. They both can work together to finalize activity reports as well as GARs, or grant adjustment requests. Financial contacts, same thing. They are able to access the finance reports as well as process any GARs. All 4 of these contacts will have a limited access to this grant record screen. None of the 4 will be able to assign grant contacts. Only the primary contact will have that ability. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and edit contacts, and I will add Matthew Bileski as the prime program contact. The alternate, I can also set Matthew Bileski as the alternate program contact. And in fact, you can assign the same person to all 4 roles. We do recommend to provide checks and balances to include as many individuals as you can uniquely across these different categories. But if it is just a single individual or 2 individuals, 1 for program, 1 for financial, you are able to do that in the system. At this point, I will click Save Changes. And as you can see, it added Matthew Bileski as the program contact and the program alternate. Please do accordingly for the financial contacts as well. If you do need a change to the primary contact, you will need to contact ACJC in order to do so. And then that primary contact will be able to move ahead and assign program and financial contacts throughout the life of the grant. I hope this helps in setting up your program contacts, and good luck with your grant records.
Okay, so that is the first video for setting up your contacts. If there are any questions, please feel free to provide those in the chat feature, and we can field those questions. I apologize for the audio on that one. It was a little soft. I will warn you, the other 2 are much louder, so you may want to start toning down your speakers here in just a minute as I play the other 2. Do we have any questions, Dorinda?
The question is the ACJC Grants Management Portal active now? And the answer for that is yes, it is. If you have a recent grant application that went through the portal, that's when it became active, was during that application process. And we've been moving those over to the funded section where you can access this information. You can do some of these updates before your final grant agreement is signed, but realize that getting that grant agreement is signed off on will be important, because a lot of the functions of this system will not be available to you as far as getting payments made until that agreement is signed.
Thank you, Dorinda. I'll add to that and just note to everybody that This is the new iteration of the prior grants management system. So while we do have to continue to field, finance reports, activity reports in the legacy GMS, the prior GMS that is still open right now today, everything day forward from your applications for this specific fiscal year is going through the new ACJC grants portal. So everything from application through management will be available in that one location.
Next question is, are the current active grants moving to the new portal?
That's a good question, Mr. Rice. We're working on trying to migrate those over as we speak. Many of them are already transitioning out because we're winding down those fiscal years. But you will be notified well ahead of time when those grants become available, those multi-year grants become available in this new system.
The next question is, the person's in there and cannot see the grant that they have in the system. The assigning contacts section explains that the person who submitted the application is currently the person who's assigned to assign those contacts. So if you were not the individual who submitted the application originally, then you will need to have them do that assigning points of contact. If they are no longer with your agency or are no longer available to do that, please contact your grant coordinator and they can assist you with getting those contacts assigned. You will not see anything until you are assigned to a grant. And that's all that we have so far, Matt.
Okay. So I think next up what we'll go to is the Sub-Awardee Questionnaire. That's down here just a little bit further again. Word of warning, it may be a little bit louder than the last video, so just be sure to adjust your headphones so I don't scare you away.
Hi, my name is Matt Bileski. I'm with the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, and I'm here to walk you through the Sub-Awardee Questionnaire process as required by all of the grants here at ACJC. So here I'm on the main splash page. I'm going to go to my personal main page, and you'll see towards the bottom the Sub-Awardee Questionnaire button is activated. So if I click on that Sub-Awardee Questionnaire, I will then filter for my specific grant by selecting the program, the agency, and here we're just going to pick Department of Corrections as a test case, as well as the grant number, and then click the Select button. As you'll see, the due date is provided, typically 45 days after the grant has opened, and you'll also see down below that it has that due date listed for August 15th. 2021. In this case, it's a July 1st start date on the grant, so naturally 45 days after for the due date. In order to start the Sub-Awardee Questionnaire, I will click the Submit Questionnaire up above, and it will ask me to begin. Click the Start button below. Once created, a questionnaire cannot be deleted, so this is your one opportunity to create and then also move forward by editing. You will have the opportunity to go in at a later date if you choose to save this questionnaire. So this isn't the one opportunity when you're sitting down, but do keep in mind that you will create one per grant. In order to delete a questionnaire, you can also contact your coordinator to work with the IT staff to delete it out. So I'm going to go ahead and start the questionnaire. And that will bring up the general information. Again, I can save this and come back to it at a later date. But do keep in mind that you must click that Save button often in order to process that information. So to make sure I'm in the right grant here, I have this General Information tab. Once I've confirmed, I move to the questionnaire itself. And here we see a list of all of the questionnaire questions. Financial questions, so this is to be completed by your finance contact or your alternate finance contact. And you can see quite a few questions in the list, so be prepared for 49 questions, as well as document upload. And again, you can save and then provide that appropriate information at a later date if necessary. As I click an answer or response to each of the questions, you will see that red indicator go away. I'm also required to provide explanation in certain instances. So for question number 3, if I select yes, it indicates to me that I need to provide an explanation. So I'll go down the list. I'll also have to upload certain files. In this case, it is asking for a copy of our policies and procedures. So I'll click Choose File. Find that document in my File Explorer, and as you can see, I'm selecting Sample Document 1, and I select to upload that document. If it has successfully uploaded, then you will see it right here where you can click and view that document. Please do keep in mind that you have a limitation of 100 megabytes for a document, and also be sure to keep that in a PDF format. It's easier to read for staff here at ACJC. Continue answering questions and uploading files. And as I'm going through this, the system is taking note of each of these responses and validating them to make sure that at submission, I've responded to every possible question. Again, I'm just entering dummy data. Please do take your time and respond appropriately to these questions. So hopefully as I'm moving through these, you see the general trend of selecting a drop-down option to the question. And then you will need to either type something in and or provide a document for upload on certain questions. Be sure to click that upload button to make sure that that document has been uploaded. And I think we're about done here. I'm getting towards the end. And here we are towards the end. I'm not going to upload this document just yet. I'm going to click Save. And as you can see, you'll have this pop-up. When the pop-up goes away, you know that you have successfully saved the information on the questionnaire. If I go to certification, you can see I'm required to respond on behalf of the awarded entity. I certify the following. And at that point, once I'm ready to certify, I will put in my name, my title, and my phone number. And as you can see, the submit button has not activated yet. I can click this to find out what I need to do. And as you can see in the pop-up, I need to assure that all required fields are filled in. I've uploaded all requested documentation, and a representative from my organization is signed electronically on the certification page. So if I go back, and again, go back to the bottom of that questionnaire where I left that upload open. If I go ahead and upload a document there, just like any other questions that are required, I should be able to now go into certification, and the submit button is now activated. I'll click Save one more time just to make sure that it's saved all of my information. And then at that point, I can click Submit. Again, you can always come back to this at a later date. If that's the case, I'll go back to the list, and you can see that it's still available for editing. It's pending status. I can click on Edit, and it returns me back to that questionnaire. At this time, I can go ahead and submit. Now, if I go ahead and query that specific grant out again, I can see now I've successfully submitted. The start date of the questionnaire is the same as the date that I submitted. And then I met that due date of August 15th. If I want to view it, I can always click on view as well to print it in a PDF format. And at that point, I've successfully submitted a sub-awardee questionnaire. I hope that this is helpful. Again, you can find all these tutorials in the manuals section of the grants portal website. So be sure to click on that button at the top. Again, you can click on contact to reach out to any of us here at ACJC. Thank you very much.
All right, that concludes the specific requirement of the sub-awardee questionnaire tutorial. I will note there was a slight change where for those uploads, those required uploaded document sections, if you respond no or NA to those questions, it will not require that upload. You can still submit without having that specific documentation that you've noted you do not possess. So just keep that in mind, that it will appropriately allow you to submit at this point without that documentation upload that's not required based on your response. So with that, I just want to note, Patty Hatvick, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Matt.
Thank you, Patty. Patty's part of, she's our finance manager at ACJC, so she is representing the finance team. And if there are any specific finance questions, we can answer those here today as well.
Matt, there was a hand risen by a Dorothy O'Brien. She did not put anything in the chat, but she raised her hand to ask a question.
Okay, Dorothy, if you want, you can unmute and ask your question.
If she's not able to, then she can just put it in the chat. We had several questions in the chat, Matt. The first one was asking, is it only available to the finance points of contact? And then the second one is, who is required to complete the questionnaire and what is its main purpose? So I was able to answer the question about it being accessible only to financial points of contact, but maybe Patty could give some additional information on the main purpose of the questionnaire.
Sure. The main purpose of the sub-awardee questionnaire is to determine that the sub-awardees are in compliance with the grant requirements that ACJC is also charged with from our funding agencies. So we have a certain set of standards that we have to comply with, and as administrators of the grant, we require that the sub-awardees also comply with those requirements. Based on the answers to the sub-awardee questionnaire, there may be some follow-up questions, or we may be able to provide some technical assistance. For example, if you don't have policies and procedures for your grants, we could assist you in completing those policies and procedures. So if we come out and audit, these are basically the types of items that we would be looking at. And it also produces maybe some red flags. For example, if you have staff that have not received any grant training, we can point you in the right direction, or we can assist your staff in determining what the correct procedures are for filling out a financial report, for example. So that's basically why we're asking this for finance and audit purposes.
Okay, so then the next question is, Matt, is having to do with the system issue. They found a workaround, but it's something that you might want to look at. It's Kimberly Willis. She's saying she's getting an error message when she's trying to do uploads, but she's also indicated that when she saves, every couple of minutes, she's able to continue doing uploads. So I'm wondering if it's something that's like a buffering issue or something.
Yeah, very possibly. Let me go back to that note, the question from before. about the access to the Sub-Awardee
Okay.
Questionnaire. I just want to clarify on that. Yes, only the finance contacts have access, but keep in mind we did add 2 alternates, a programmatic alternate, as well as a financial alternate. And that was to allow, let's say, the instance where the primary contact will also be taking the role of the financial side. You can assign yourself both the primary contact role as well as one of the finance roles and still have another financial spot to allow for another individual to jump on board. So if that needs to happen where the primary contact is also going to be filling out the Sub-Awardee Questionnaire as a finance contact, they can't assign themselves to that role. We force it to financial contacts because our finance department here, I agree that it is best to have a financial contact respond to those questions. They know best. They know what's going on in their own finance departments. And so we do require that those 2 individuals are the ones responding to that Sub-Awardee Questionnaire. The additional question that you're asking, Dorinda, I would not know exactly what the issue might be unless I take a look at it. So, Ms. Willis, if you'd like to schedule at a later time, I'd be more than happy to walk through that, and I can see it through a Google Meet, the type of error that you're experiencing. But I wonder if it might just be the timeout feature that is a limitation here. Keep in mind that it will time you out right around every 15 minutes. So click that save button often, and we'll look at ways to just improving the Sub-Awardee Questionnaire so that you're warned ahead of time that you're about to be timed out, and you know to go ahead and click that save button before you do get timed out. But just please do keep that in mind. It might be a timeout issue, and you can no longer save anything, documents included, to that Sub-Awardee Questionnaire. So everyone, please do click that save button as often as possible.
All right. So the other question, the first one, when it comes to that questionnaire, we will be putting out a template that's a paper template in case your agency has multiple individuals responsible for different areas of it, so that you don't have to give access to all of them and have to trade off putting in different people in that financial spot. So you will be getting that after this meeting. I'll send a copy of that template out. You won't be able to submit the template. You'll still need to do it in the system, but at least you'll have the questions available for the individuals who you might need to send them to. And there's one more question about using the old login. Matt, can you give them an idea of exactly where to go in to find the information on creating a login?
Yes. There is a tutorial for that. I should stress that to everybody. In the registration section, we have a specific tutorial, the account creation and access. But if you want just a quick point, when you first access grantsportal.azcjc.gov, at the top you should see a register and a login feature. You can click the register here, as I'm doing right here, and then you will fill out this information to create your account. Okay. You can also access that. Let's say you happen to click on login. There's also register as a new user down below the login screen. So you have 2 ways to go in and register. I stress anyone that anticipates becoming a contact is a contact being requested right now to jump in the system. Go in and register right away. If you have any hangups, again, reach out to me for the technical issues. You can also reach out to your coordinator or manager with setting that up.
Okay, then we have a couple more questions. The next one I'm going to give to you, Matt, is which browser is supporting the new system?
That's a really good question. We addressed that back in January, February time when we had our first kickoff meeting. This is migrating away from Internet Explorer, so we recommend do not use Internet Explorer for grantsportal.azcjc.gov. You will still need to use it for the legacy GMS. Okay, as we phase that out, we're migrating everything away from Internet Explorer. Chrome will work. We've tested in Edge. Edge will work as well. You may be able to use it in Firefox, although we didn't necessarily test that too hard. So just a word of warning, Chrome, Edge are perfect for using the system. If you use Firefox, you may, or Safari or anything like that, you may just want to test it out and see. If you have any limitations, we're more than happy to find out what those limitations are, and then we could try to fix it from there so that your user experience is improved.
All right, and then the next question is specific to the questionnaire. So it's question 8, asking if our agency has an annual audit from an outside firm, and asking is ACJC considered the outside firm? Patty, do you want to field that one?
No, ACJC would not be considered the outside firm. What we're looking for in that question is, do you have like a local CPA firm who's coming in and auditing your agency? So it wouldn't just be specific to the grants necessarily, but are you having an outside agency come in and do an audit? Then we'd like to see a copy of that audit, especially if there would be any findings.
All right, and then the last question is, it's from Dorothy. Is there a limitation on the number of changes which can be made to the contact individuals? We may wish to have one individual within the city fill the sub-awardee questionnaire form out, but they would not need access to the portal after that. So she's wondering if she could assign them in a financial role and then reassign. And Matt, you want to answer that?
Sure. So that's a really good question too. You can cycle these contacts out however you need to real time. Once you've assigned them, they now have access where you can also unassign them at any time and reassign it to somebody else. I would always recommend try to reassign it back maybe to yourself as a primary contact rather than have it just blank, just for the sake of avoiding any issues with that. But once you assign it to someone, they will gain access. You can unassign them after the fact and then return it back to someone else that may need that access. So it's completely flexible. It's up to you. We did that by design deliberately so that you wouldn't have to keep processing a grant adjustment request just to change a contact to get a form in that day or during that week. It could make things pretty cumbersome. So we definitely open that up for all of you to be able to change as needed.
So what we recommend, though, is that if somebody leaves your employ, that you immediately go in and reassign it to the primary point of contact until a new person comes into that position or until you find a temporary person to take over that role, so that the person who's left will no longer have access.
Thank you, Dorinda. Do we have any other questions on the line?
No more on the line.
Okay. So we're in the home stretch. Again, this one's going to be a little bit louder, so just keep your headphones down slightly. And I'm going to tune out here in a second, and we will start this video. Hello, my name is Matt Boleski. I'm with the Arizona Criminal Justice Commission, and I'm here to walk you through the Personnel and Program Income tutorial. Under some of the grants, you are required to provide some level of personnel information as well as program income, and we're going to go ahead and walk through that process here today. So I'm going to click on Main Page up at the top, go to Manage Personnel, and at this time I'm just going to pick some dummy data here to access this information. Select out the grant number. And I have a clean slate here of current personnel and former personnel tables. What I need to do is either provide some level of whatever is required for the grant, maybe training information on my personnel, board membership information, when they've been renewed. So this training and renewed date comes in handy to do that. And I may also have to provide some program income information, the portions of FTE for both the program and the grant. This is where I will go ahead and process that personnel information. So I have the ability to add personnel. I'll go ahead and click on that blue button, and I will provide the information that's being requested. And then also provide a either trained or renewed date. This would be the date of training completion or the official renewal date of the member on the board or whatever the organization might be. And if I'm required to provide program income information, then I will go ahead and put in program FTE portion for this individual as well as the grant FTE portion. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and click Add. And as you can see, it added John Doe to the current personnel list. Now, if you want to process program income, you must supply all current personnel prior to clicking the program income worksheet button on the right side. So be sure to put in all personnel required. If I want to attach any information, for instance, a certification, I can do so here. If I click on Choose File and then select out the document that I'd like to upload, please do provide a brief description on that as well so that here at ACJC we're aware of what that document represents. And then we'll go ahead and click Add. And at this point, I can click on Attachments and see that document here. Please be sure that it is a PDF document and it is under 100 megabytes in size. Otherwise, it may error out when trying to upload. You can upload as many documents as you wish for those attachments on that personnel. And then also I can delete out that individual at this time. There are 2 months worth of time after the start date in order to process personnel as well as to delete anyone out from this list. Beyond the 2 months, you are required to process a grant adjustment request to change personnel information. There is one exception to that, and that is the program income worksheet. If you process a worksheet, you automatically will lose add personnel and delete features off of this page. You will no longer be able to update those individuals unless it's through the GAR or grant adjustment request process. So if you do process a GAR to update this information, and let's say you drop someone off of your current personnel list, they would fall into the former personnel table if that individual no longer works on the project or is working at your agency. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and process the program income worksheet to give all of you an idea of what that would look like if you are required to do so. Once I have completed the current personnel list and everything checks out as far as FTE portions here in the table, I will click on the program income worksheet. And you are not required to enter in any information on this with the exception of your signature, title, and phone number. You are simply acknowledging that the program income formula is calculated out correctly based on the FTE portions that you provided in your personnel list. So please confirm that these numbers do add up. And then also you can put in your name, title, phone number, and then you will also be required to check the box at the bottom in order to finally submit this worksheet. So at this time, I will click the Submit button that's down here at the bottom. And you will see now the worksheet is no longer available to click on. I've acknowledged that the program income formula is correct. And then I also can no longer add personnel or delete out any personnel from the list. So please be sure to get the correct and most accurate information in there when processing a program income worksheet. If you do experience any issues or submitted an inaccurate worksheet, you may contact your coordinator or your manager of the program in order for them to unlock that report back to you. So once that is finalized and you've reached the 2-month period, your current personnel is locked down and you will need to submit a GAR to process any further personnel changes. So I hope this helps. You may also access this information for this tutorial as well as the specific user manual for this section under the manuals section at the top. And please do reach out to your coordinator and manager with any additional questions. Thank you very much. All right. right, so that concludes the personnel slash program income tutorial. Dorinda, are there any questions on that one?
Yes, there are two, and they're very specific to the grant coordinators that cover their grants. So the first one is for GVCCC. So it says, our grant covers only overtime costs. Would we put our staff as 100% FTE, even though none of their regular time is being paid by the grant? And then the question next question is, would the program income piece just be a percent of the overtime over their 100% regular FTE?
That is a.
For the,
Oh, go ahead. Is that Sienny?
yeah, this is
All right.
Sienny. So for the overtime, you would convert the overtime hours to an FTE number. That's for the grant that they're getting paid out of, and then same goes for the program overtime. So you just convert both of them to an FTE number, and then for Deborah, it would be 100% of the salaries.
All right, so she got to answer both of those questions. So do any of the other coordinators want to explain the use of this section for your grants? Ashley, Candace? So for victims, I'm going to be having two separate calls, one for victim assistance and one for victim compensation, to discuss how we're going to be utilizing this section. We will not be utilizing it the same way many of the other grants are utilizing it, but I want to have a specific section and time with you separate. So I will be sending out an email to you later this week about that.
Yeah, for my grants, the only program that'll probably utilize this is Coverdale, but we'll talk about this at a later date once we receive the award. So when we have our grant training for that, we'll discuss this piece.
So for the drug grant, we'll be using this to calculate the program income formula. And then also for task force training, you can upload the certifications under the attachment for each task force officer.
I'll zoom in really quick to stress that you can always upload attachments throughout the grant period. So even though if you submit a program income worksheet or we're beyond the 2 months from the start date of the grant, you will still be able to attach documentation at this point. Now, in order to change that trained or that renewed date for either officers being trained or possibly board membership, you will need to process a grant adjustment request to notify us directly of that. We wanted to be notified when that would occur. And then that would process through as any grant adjustment would. But the attachments, you can always upload certification attachments, any type of board membership documentation. Always go in here at this point and upload that documentation here. Dorinda, are there any other questions on the line?
There are no other questions on the line.
Okay. This is a good point to just say, if anybody has any general questions about grant requirements up to this point that you've experienced, please do let me know. And I mentioned it earlier, you can always reach out to me and have a one-on-one Google Meet to walk through any errors or issues uploading the documentation was one example here today. I am very interested in understanding what those issues are. They pique my interest at all times. So I'm more than happy to sit down with anyone that comes to me with a question like that to just diagnose the situation, figure out how we can improve this tool, make it even better than it is, and hopefully meet all of your needs in the future. So please do reach out to me directly with those technical issues. So I think, Dorinda, not seeing anything come in, I can hang on the line for 5 more minutes. I'm sure the coordinators may be interested with any questions that might come in too, but outside of that, that's what we have, I think, to present here today. You'll have your separate grant-specific meetings in the future. I do see, Mr. Rice, you asked a question about the monthly reporting.
Day for hours. This well for Coverdale.
Okay.
We'll still stick to our monthly reporting as far as financial reports. Quarterly reports will still be activity reports.
Well, as everybody's jumping on the line, I just want to thank everybody for joining us here today. Like I said, I'll stay on for 5 minutes if you have a specific question. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day, and we're giving a little bit of time back. So we will talk to you in the near future. Good luck, everybody. I do see Ms. Samstag, you asked the question about the financial reporting section. That will be available as of August. So we are anticipating release next week. So you should have access to your typical financial reporting process in the new system at that point in time. We did not open it prior to that point simply because there would not be a need in July to release that out to everybody. I do see the Attorney General has, I believe Attorney General has a question about their drug, gang, and violent crime control grant. Yes, I do believe you are on a different schedule. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ashley or Sandy, that we kind of shift those goalposts a little bit on reporting the quarterly reporting. We will review that. If you have any issues with the reporting dates on there, please do connect with your coordinator to resolve that issue. They can resolve that on the activity and the financial reporting side. Okay, and I see it's financial, so I'm assuming that the activity reporting is where we're seeing the hang up. I will be sure to work with the coordinators and we can get that resolved. And again, one more follow-up for the AGO. We can have an offline discussion if you do see any issues within the ACJC grants portal on reporting. let's discuss that with the coordinators and with the manager.
So for Edward, you'll want to talk with your grant coordinator. I don't know if they are on right now.
We'll also send out the recording to today's presentation, so you'll be able to access that information as well.
Mr. Castro, I just wanted to follow up on your finance personnel question. I'm not sure if you mean contacts for that, and that's fine. There is a tutorial out there, a video tutorial in the requirements section, and there's also a user manual now available at the top of the manuals page. If you look at your top banner up above, you can actually see it right here, the manual section up there. If you click on that, you will be able to access those manuals. Actually, let me show you really quick. I believe this is what you're referencing. So if I click on manuals, here's tutorials and manuals. There's assigning grant contacts, which would be your financial contacts, as well as your program contacts. Here's the user manual for that. And then there's also a video tutorial to walk you through that process right up here, assigning contacts. And again, reach out to us if you have any additional questions. All right, we will wind it down at 2. So this would be a great time. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, do reach out to me for technical assistance, and then your coordinators and managers for any programmatic assistance in the future. Thank you very much, everybody.